Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker and Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry are both official for UFC Fight Night Qatar on November the 22nd, but I'll let the bald man tell you himself, live from his PSP. Take it away, Dana.
We are headed to Doha, Qatar, November 22nd at the ABHA Arena. And the main event will be the number 2 ranked lightweight contender, Arman Tsarukyan, taking on number 6 ranked Dan Hooker.
Great fight. Amazing. Arman Tsarukyan has shown back up to work after 17 months. This is monumental news, okay? I don't know why Dan Hooker is the name that they went with, but we heard these rumors before. It is insane that Arman Tsarukyan has finally showed up back to work. 3 different times he's grappled a 40-year-old in a grappling contest, and finally he's back in Qatar. Keep it going, Dana.
And as you know, Arman won 9 of his last 10 fights. He's got wins over Oliveira, Dariush. He's on a 4-fight win streak. The guy is a dangerous dude. He's taking on Dan Hooker, whom you guys love. And he's always looking for a finish, always in there to dog it out and fight his ass off. One of the most beloved guys in the sport.
That's the best we got to say about Dan Hooker. You guys love him. You know, he's always looking to dog it out. Can't even remember any wins of Dan Hooker, most likely. It's all good though, Dana. You know, great stuff from Dana White, dude. I'm amped. And honestly, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker is a bad blood matchup that we're going to talk about in a second. But there's more to this card.
He's on a 3-fight win streak.
Oh, wow.
Main event.
Oh, wow.
Is going to be former champ and number 1 ranked contender Belal Muhammad taking on the number 6 ranked Ian Garry. Muhammad went on an 11-fight win streak to earn the welterweight title, and he's looking to get back.
He's reading that off a fucking script, by the way. Just being real. You see where his eyes go for a second. He is looking at something on the wall that's telling him exactly what to say. I just want to be clear. But Belal Muhammad's back, which is big.
On the number 6 ranked Ian Garry. Muhammad went on an 11-fight win streak to earn the welterweight title, and he's looking to get back with a win over Garry. Now, Garry coming off an impressive win over Carlos Pradas. He has become that guy that is literally down to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. Every time we call him, he takes...
Which is interesting. He looks back at the camera for a second. Which is very interesting to hear, but I wonder what Sean Brady has to say about this. Ian Garry, anytime, any place, anywhere, but Sean Brady's been saying he's been ducking him for a long time. So I'm wondering, with all of these announcements, there's a lot of names that we have to take into consideration here. There's a lot of names that are unsaid that I've been waiting for. What about Belal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman? Was Sean Brady never available for any of these fights? Keep it going.
Takes a fight, doesn't give a shit who the opponent is. So there you have it. November 22nd at the ABHA Arena in Doha, Qatar. Our first time ever there. I'll be there. I'll see you there. Tickets are on sale Friday.
Oh, who cares about all that? But thank God we're back in the Middle East for a fight night card so we can get a stacked fight night card. Perth, they don't care about you, but thank God we're back in the Middle East. We've got another massive fight night card. Let's talk about some of these matchups. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry. This is massive, and there's a lot of names that I'm wondering what happened to. Okay, because I thought this was going to be an Arman Tsarukyan Paddy Pimblett. Of course, we now know that we reckon Paddy Pimblett's going to be fighting Ilia Topuria in the new year on January. They said they were shelving Ilia Topuria for the rest of 2025. He'll be back in 2026. And they were talking about putting him on the first CBS card in January for the new Paramount deal. So we've got Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria, which is a huge deal. A huge deal if that is going to happen. There's a lot of bad blood between them. There's a lot of trash talk. But if we don't get this, then we've got probably Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, which is a massive deal as well. A massive deal as well. What I'm wondering is, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, interesting. Maybe leans towards the fact that we're going to get Paddy Pimblett for the title. Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry is an interesting matchup to me. I'm going to get into who I think win these fights in a second. But Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry is a very interesting matchup to me because Kamaru Usman versus Belal Muhammad was right there. You know? And they were talking about doing Sean Brady versus Ian Garry as the November fight night main event in Vancouver or something. And Brady said that Ian Garry wasn't taking it. So this is, I guess, how they reward him. I need to hear from Sean Brady. Sean Brady's got a way in all of this. But, of course, they're not going to do Belal Muhammad versus Sean Brady too. Not this soon. There's no desire for it. It would be a waste of a rematch. So maybe they just needed someone for Belal Muhammad. What about Kamaru Usman? I feel like there's so many matchups these days with Belal Muhammad and Diego Lopez where I'm thinking, where is Yair Rodriguez? Where is Kamaru Usman? The promo has been done for the UFC for these matchups, and we're not getting them. I love these fights. These are massive fights. I'm just thinking, there was one better that we could have done. You know? Whenever I look at these matchups these days, I'm thinking, the one that was right there in front of us. The one that was screaming to be made. The one that all the promo had already been done for without the UFC ever having to do anything about it, which they love because they don't like promoting fights. Just doesn't get made these days. We didn't get Yair Rodriguez, Diego Lopez. We're not getting Belal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman. But you know what? We're getting some big fights regardless, and I'm glad because we've needed this. We've really needed this. With those two fight night cards in the Apex, Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfirm, and whatever the other fight night main event, I think David Onama versus Steve Garcia or something along those lines. I'm glad that we're in the Middle East so we can get a big fight night card. This is huge. There's bad blood in Tsarukyan versus Hooker. They've been talking shit about each other for a long time. I know there was rumors going around that Dan Hooker was going to be fighting Chris Duncan, which is a really weird rumor. I don't know why that was going around, but let's talk about these matchups. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. I've got Arman winning. I do. I see this as a bit of, listen, I thought Gamrot could have won that Dan Hooker fight, and I know it was close and there's damage, and Hooker had some good moments towards the ends of the rounds, and that's what the judges are going to remember, so it's one of them. It's one of them. But I think Arman Tsarukyan is just going to be more comfortable on the feet with Dan Hooker than Mateusz Gamrot was, and Mateusz Gamrot did drop Dan Hooker on the feet as well, so I reckon Arman Tsarukyan's got this one in the bag, and I think if he wins this one, there's no doubt at all. You got to give him the title shot next, no matter what happens to anyone else in the division. If they don't have a title fight booked with Ilia Topuria before this happens, then they need to give Arman Tsarukyan the title shot if he wins. If Dan Hooker wins, who knows if they're going to give him the title shot. But they must have called other lightweights, you know. Justin Gaethje, I'm looking at you, buddy. What are we doing? Gaethje, if you haven't got a fight with Paddy Pimblett booked for the December pay-per-view card, what are you actually doing? Like, I don't know what Gaethje's up to, but if he says if he doesn't get a title shot next, he's going to retire, I said this a couple of weeks ago, it's looking like Gaethje's going to retire then, because there ain't no title shot coming your way, buddy. Just hate to break it to you, man. So maybe we're going to get a Pimblett versus Gaethje in December. That would be amazing. But Arman Tsarukyan, Dan Hooker, I got Arman. I think his wrestling is good. I also think even though maybe his pure wrestling skill isn't as good as Mateusz Gamrot, I think his ability to score points from those positions is a lot better. And I do think he'll be able to take down Dan Hooker if he wants to. Now, I do think that Dan Hooker's takedown defense has gotten better, but you've got to consider the guy's coming off another broken arm, 2 failed surgeries on it. We've been waiting for him to come back for a long time. Now we're finally getting him back in November the 22nd. I'm worried he's going to break his arm again going through this fight camp. He's had a lot of injuries recently, so I am leaning towards Arman for so many reasons. It's a 5-rounder. That is interesting. Dan Hooker's got great cardio. We could see some interesting things. Arman Tsarukyan is the type of build that's ripe for that knee up the middle from Dan Hooker that he loves so much. So we'll see what he can do here. It's never good to count out Dan Hooker. How many more tattoos does he need to get in his mid-30s to prove to you that he's dangerous, guys? I don't know what to tell you, but this guy's a dangerous dude. But I've got Arman. Arman's a phenom. I think it's going to take something special to beat Arman, and I think that something special is Ilia Topuria. But this is good, man. A lot of people are in the comments saying, like, let me look at what they're saying. Don't understand this for Arman, but he still wins. I saw another person posting something like, why is Arman not getting the shot? Like he hasn't been sat on his ass for 17 months. We need this. We need an Arman Tsarukyan win, which I'm hoping for because it'll be more interesting for the division. There's a lot of supporters behind him that are just, you know, Dagestani fans that moved over to him since Makhachev left the division. And a lot of his own fans as well. But Arman Tsarukyan, he needs this win. He needs a big call out on the microphone. He needs to say that Ilia's ducking him. This is how you get those big fight feels. There's nothing better than the illusion that someone's being ducked even though they haven't shown up for work in 17 months. That is great promo for any fighter. And I think it'd work wonders for Arman here if he has a good performance against Dan Hooker. Who knows, gets a finish and then calls out Ilia on the mic in Qatar. The crowd goes wild. They're all up there jumping around like, yeah. That would be good. And I think that would genuinely create a super fight for Ilia Topuria. So I'm looking forward to this. And we've also got this matchup as well. Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry. I'm going to go with Ian Garry, I think. I know, you know what? Maybe not. I don't know how to feel about this one because Belal Muhammad has proven me wrong so many times on the way up the division, but I've picked so many fighters to beat Belal Muhammad. And then I just picked JDM to beat him as well. I think Belal is incredibly flawed in his game. He doesn't really do much with takedowns, which is not the best in today's day and age, because I think the Leon Edwards fight was a lot closer than people think. And in hindsight, that's a really bad look. Judging by what Sean Brady did to Leon Edwards with his grappling, it is a bad look for Belal Muhammad, but he also beat Sean Brady, which is a great win. I just think he's got a great style to look amazing against certain people, but then other times, I had to pick JDM to beat him. I don't see as someone with any finishing potential at all, which is a really, really big weakness in MMA, especially in the heavier divisions like welterweight. If you have zero finishing potential, you're just giving the opponent the advantage. They're always going to be the one that has the ability to win, but also to win by finish. And I think Ian Garry can do this. A lot of people don't understand, but Ian Garry started as a judo practitioner, if I'm not mistaken. So he has a really strong grappling base, and he is near impossible to take down. I'm sure he's been taken down here and there and ended up on bottom position in moments as well, but I don't know if Belal Muhammad's going to be able to pull this off with his single legs and double legs. It can be figured out. It really can. And, you saw Belal getting takedowns on guys like Stephen Thompson and Leon Edwards on the come-up. But JDM was able to stuff that. Maybe it's because he's shorter and stockier, and JDM does have really good takedown defense. I've seen videos of his methods of keeping that high and tight guard and using his elbows and forearms to frame off. But Ian Garry's very tall, and he's got really good hip positioning against the cage. Knows how to distribute his weight when people are trying to take him down. I don't think Belal can get a takedown here. I would make this a 5-rounder. I think at a certain point in a division, most fights should be 5 rounds. But 3-rounder, I think, does favor Ian Garry. If Belal Muhammad wants to push this pace or wants to get these volume takedowns off, I don't think it's going to work over 3 rounds as well as it will over 5 on a guy like Ian Garry. And I reckon Ian Garry's got this in the bag. He is night and day above Belal Muhammad on the feet. So this could be a situation where we are saying things like, how was Belal Muhammad ever champion? Just how bad is Leon Edwards? Just how bad are some of these other fighters? So I don't know how this one's going to go, but I'm leaning towards Ian Garry right now by having a stand-up advantage. I think he's good at that shorter opponent coming towards him, unless they can do it really calculated, like a guy like Jack Della Maddalena, who's going to use a lot of feints and footwork and, the way he found his way safely on the inside of Randy Brown to catch him and put him out and then submit him afterwards. I think Belal's a little too obvious with the way that he enters the pocket. I do. And with JDM timing him with knees coming in, which he did a lot, and with JDM timing him with uppercuts, you give that height advantage to Ian Garry, that reach, that range, that distance control advantage to Ian Garry. If he's got as much confidence in his takedown defense as JDM, we could be looking at as equally as good a performance by decision as JDM had, or we could be looking at a finish. Belal did take a lot of damage against JDM. He got his face mushed up in round 5. I mean, look, it still ain't recovered. I'm joking. But I'm going to go with Ian Garry here. I'm going to go with Ian Garry getting this one done. I just wish this was Belal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman. What are some of these guys up to? Showed up, get their check once a year, and they're off. They must be getting paid so much. Way too much, in a way. If they're able to check in once a year and dip, and give up massive, massive fights like a Belal Muhammad Kamaru Usman fight. Usman, this is your opportunity. Where are you? What's Usman going to do now? Sean Brady, Kamaru Usman? That doesn't guarantee a title shot. Anyone who didn't accept the matchup against either of these men has put themselves 2 fights away. We got JDM versus Makhachev in November. The winner of this If it's Ian Garry, I mean, they've kind of got to give him a title shot. He's going to win over Carlos Prates as well. If Prates would have started losing, maybe it wouldn't hold as much weight. But if Prates continues to win, if Prates beats Leon Edwards, Ian Garry's going to be put at number 1 in the rankings off this win over Belal. And that's near impossible to deny. Shavkat hasn't shown up to work, and God knows, where's Shavkat? Where is everyone? Where is everyone? It's remarkable to me. So I'm looking forward to this matchup, but I think anyone who didn't accept either of these guys, congrats. Get 2 more. JDM's not going to be able to be that active. But I have a feeling that some of these guys might just sit around. I'm saying JDM's not going to be that active. Like, there's no chance Makhachev beats him. But I think JDM beats Makhachev. I do. But if Makhachev wins, that could be causing more of a logjam. You know, because Ilia is going to be doing this thing at lightweight, and then eventually he's going to want to fight Makhachev, and Makhachev's not going to want to come back down to 155. You know how that works. Once they move up and they get that taste of an extra bit of food on fight week and an extra bit of water on fight week, they do not want to go back down 15 pounds. We've seen it with guys making a 10-pound division jump. 15 pounds excess for Makhachev. He's going to feel great. And he don't want to feel terrible again. We know how bad that weight cut is for Makhachev at 155. So we'll see what happens here. But I think, you know, I'm hoping we get some of these other matchups. Sean Brady versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, in which case, what is left for Kamaru Usman? Who's probably going to start a podcast again and say, you know, I'm next. I see all these matchups getting made, but, you know, I know my time will come where I'm up next for a title shot. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, man? I just saw Yusuf Salal saying he'll get a title shot off beating Josh Emmett. The culture that we have created is sad. Somebody needs to get in there and put their foot on these guys and say, no, you got to get to fucking work. Get matchups done. We need top 5 matchups of 2 fighters in the top 5 taking each other on. I'm leaning towards Ian Garry here. I love these fights. And I love this one as well. Bangers in Qatar. I don't know what else is going to be on the card. But we've also got this fight announced recently. Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I have no idea which way this is going to go, but this is a welcome addition for UFC 322 in November. It's also a lightweight matchup on the card, which is always good. It's great to have lightweight matchups on the card. So yeah, I like this. I really like this. I don't know where to go with this matchup other than to say, oh, well, one of them lost to Moicano and the other one beat him. I don't know how to... I feel like Benoit's going to beat Dariush, but I just find myself wondering sometimes with Dariush, how do I argue him to win? Because in this matchup, Dariush is a rear kick spammer, and they're quite slow, but they are powerful, but they are quite slow kicks. And he is getting older and older. I might have to sort of like take away all technical analysis of this fight and just go off of the saying, Benoit Saint-Denis is more active. He's off momentum. He just got a big win over Huffy. All his confidence is back, and now he's going straight into this matchup. But is the pressure heavy, grappling heavy style going to work against Beneil Dariush? They're either going to catch him or they're not. And I don't know if Benoit's got the power to just shut off Dariush like that. But it's been done before. I'm leaning Benoit Saint-Denis, but I can so see myself switching between these 2 fighters so many times in the build-up of this fight. But those are the matchups that have been made. Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. Looks like it's happening. If they're going to make this in January, and that fight, Arman Tsarukyan, Dan Hook, has been booked for November, this is happening. This is absolutely happening in January. If that is the intention, I tweeted something a while ago saying, guys, just letting you know, they're doing Paddy Pimblett, Ilia Topuria in January. I think I said December at first when I said, but January is the CBS card, so watch out for that. That's happening. Pimblett's getting a shot. And then I also said Gaethje's retiring. Because what is Gaethje going to do here? Turns out sitting on your ass and saying you'll retire if you don't get a title shot, Gaethje, didn't fucking work. So now what? I'd love to see Pimblett Gaethje in December. I think that'd be amazing. I'd love to see an active Ilia in the next year where he's on the CBS card. He's on 2 cards in the first half of next year, January, then June or July. And that's what I want to see happen. But this is big. These are big updates because not only does it give us these matchups, but it also gives us an idea of the matchups to come, which are all amazing if these fighters actually get to work. Also, I think they're going to put like Sharam Magomedov on this card, but I can't think against who. Probably I would do like a Sharam Magomedov, I mean, he arguably doesn't deserve a ranked opponent. What about a Sharamagomedov, Ikram Aliskerov? I know these guys are a team and they don't really fight each other. Even though they're not on the same team, they are, in life. In belief. You know what I'm saying? They don't really if they don't have to, they're not going to go up against a brother of theirs in a way, you know what I mean? Or a cousin. But Sharamagomedov versus like an Ikram Aliskerov or a Sharamagomedov, I don't know if he's actually got a matchup, but I'm assuming some of those names, if they look inbred enough, they'll be on this card on the undercard. And this is probably going to be another stacked fight night card. Better than some of the pay-per-views we've had this year. So really looking forward to it. And yeah, like and subscribe. I'm rooting for Dan Hooker in the main event. I don't know if you guys have seen his videos with his daughter on YouTube, but one day I randomly got recommended one of them and I thought, he's such a good dad, I think he was doing like Mr. Beast Feast of Balls taste tests with his daughter. And he's like encouraging her to do a like nice, wholesome YouTube channel as like a father-daughter thing. And they stopped making videos, but I watched one of them or two of them and I thought, I'm really like emotionally attached to this winner now. Like I need him to win now. And when he broke his hand, I was like, we could have had so much activity out of him. But you know what? Huge matchups. Looking forward to him. I've got Ian Garry, Arman Tsarukyan. I think that's probably what most people are going to have. Like and subscribe. I'll see you later. But come on, UFC. They're laying you up, Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez. Laying you up, Belal Muhammad, Kamaru Usman. And you know what that tells me? Yair Rodriguez, Kamaru Usman, you lot are some fucking fakes. And you don't want it. See you later. Goodbye. Yeah.